thanks for the time this afternoon. And Kirby, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to all of our viewers?
Sure. Hi, Kirby Green, top producer, account manager. So Katie, and others, all of our listeners and viewers. I live in Kentucky. I work across the northeastern U.S., working with 35 farms that are in our top producer network. My background here at the company, I was a FSR for DeKalb Asgrow. I've been with the company, get this, almost 10 years. So that makes me feel older and older, Katie. But it's a privilege to be not only plugged in with the Top Producer Network, but also, as you know, just to be working in agriculture with some excellent farmers. So thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for taking the time out of your crazy world, right? Not only here at Bear Crop Science, but you're a mother of three and you've got lots of other things on your plate. Can you share with us, a few of your best time management tips and tricks, or what do you do that works for you, Kirby?
Yeah, I sometimes joke, Katie, that I run the circus, right? On all fronts. But if anything, becoming a mom, taking different roles and transitions, right? All of it sharpens us and makes us better and better. So I'm always asking, like, what's that 1% of whether it's time management or whatever it may be that I can improve? So we often think of, so when people think of budgets, right? Like we work in budgets, a Bayer Crop Science, whether it's numbers or dollars, that's easy for us to think about. Okay, we've got to be really wise with allocation. But so often when it comes to our time, we aren't as strict with it as we would be maybe a financial budget, or in my world, in seed and chemistry budgets and allocations. But it's our most precious resource, and so we've got to give it the same attention. So I think the biggest thing for me, the biggest learning has been to treat it with the same level of importance, and so to sit down and map it out, right? So for me, practically speaking, I don't know about you, but sometimes people will speak in terms of theories or broad ideas, but it's really those practical notes that help me the most. And I always tell people too. So I do some mentoring of young women in agriculture, and I always say, here's a couple of learnings. Take it, filter it through your own life and world and lenses, and then make it work for you, right? So that would be my encouragement to whomever listens. But for me, what that looks like is I try to have a cadence to sitting down and evaluating my time and planning it strategically. And so what that looks like is once a year, I have a pretty thorough process of what I call my life plan. And then quarterly, I take a look at quarterly goals, projects. It's all written out. Actually, I've got it right here in this planner. So I keep it for every quarter. And that, so what that does too is it involves planning out the week. And I say it's a balance, and I'm sure this resonates, but it's the balance of having a rhythm or a cadence or a routine to your week, right? But also holding a pretty open hand. Life happens, right? School gets canceled because of ice in Kentucky, or your biggest customer calls because there's a problem and they need you to come by and scout that field, or whatever it may be. And so the key call out I can say is find whatever rhythm or routine, whether it's annual, quarterly, weekly, build those in, put them on your calendar, because you're not going to do it unless you put it on your calendar. And then also hold an open hand to say life happens, and I have to learn to triage my schedule just as a medical person would do for any kind of patient, right? You got to learn to prioritize. But for me, building those in, Katie, are the number one tip. So I annual, there's like a full day of setting down what are my goals, what are my plans, what I learned from this year, how do I build that into next year. And then there's also quarterly looks at projects and goals, as well as just sitting down and doing a weekly map. So I hope that's helpful. Sometimes it looks like more scribbles than it does like a definite plan. But just like any good farmer is doing their planning right now for planting season, so can we at the start of a week. It doesn't mean it'll go perfectly, but it's certainly part of stewarding our time as we would any other resource.
Yeah, that's awesome, Kirby. And I like how you say, put it on the calendar. I've learned that too, that if it's not
Yes.
on the calendar, it
No.
can be my scribble note, but it just doesn't seem to happen. And I like that flexibility, right? I think sometimes some of us, I know I've done this, you get so scheduled, right? Life happens and you need to move some things around, and I don't build in that flexibility. So that's a good reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, and building in the margins, right? For two, like it may be that you're blocking off 30 minutes for this day for like two really important phone calls. Or or maybe you don't know like who specifically they're with. Just building that into like building in the margins so that you can be flexible and you can have routine touch points with customers or teammates or whatever it may be. I've also learned we've got to plan that in there too. But yeah, put it on the calendar.